Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Insidious, The Red Door. And this movie is directed by Patrick Wilson and also stars him. And this is his first feature film. And it's part of a franchise that I have absolutely no attachment to. I've seen all of these, and none of them I really like. And this one is a sequel to the second movie, whereas 3 and 4 were prequels. And I thought this was easily the worst Insidious movie from memory. Like, I haven't seen 1 and 2 in a while, and I just watched 3 for the first time. And 4 I haven't seen since it came out in theaters. Like, I don't have this franchise that fresh in my brain, but I didn't really connect with any of these movies. Like, there are some shots that I can remember from the first 2 movies. Mostly because it's James Wan and he's just bringing something visually interesting to his movies, and that's what I like. Whereas the rest of them, I don't really get that. It's mostly just jump scares, and it's PG-13, and the further, or like, for those who are unfamiliar with this franchise, that's basically the other realm, like the dead world or whatever, where ghosts and demons exist. The further always looks cool in all of these movies. And the same is true for this movie, and I thought Patrick Wilson was good in this movie. But aside from his performance, I just really got nothing out of this movie, and this movie has such an odd starting point, and it just opens up with our 2 main characters getting hypnotized, and that's a central part about this movie. Is them just being hypnotized to forget the events of the first 2 Insidious movies. But the way that's played into the film, it's kind of pointless, and just, why did you do just that? And what I mean by that is, why didn't you do that with the entire family instead of just those 2? Like, what? Why would you do that? And I was bored with this movie like 7 minutes in. I timed it, and the opening scene of this movie was kind of pointless and didn't need to happen. And there's a lot about this movie that just doesn't work for me, simply because I just didn't care. I didn't like the characters. The story had nothing for me to chew on. There was no personality in the filmmaking. And I understand that it's a first feature film, but still, there's like nothing to really remember this movie by in terms of visuals, really. There's nothing incompetent with how this movie is shot, but at the same time, there are no shots in this movie that stand out to me. And despite this movie being called The Red Door, no character interacts with the Red Door until the 3rd act of this movie. And I don't think that's a spoiler for the movie. Because it's such a tiny thing. And not that it being in the movie towards the end of the film is a bad thing necessarily, but you're kind of just waiting for something to happen with the Red Door the entire film. Or at least that's how I felt. And this entire film just felt incredibly pointless, and nothing of consequence that happened until we got to the 3rd act of the movie. And that's when the movie was like starting to get a bit better for me, but getting there was like kind of a chore for me. This movie is 1 hour and 47 minutes, and it's the longest Insidious film out of all of these, and it just feels like there's so much filler in this film. Like, at least 85 to 90% of this movie is filler. Just nothing happening, nothing matters. Watching characters I don't care about, and eventually getting some jump scares that don't really work for me, and I'm just kind of forget about them. And also, this doesn't really matter in the grand context of anything, but there's an after credit scene in this movie that's like 10 seconds long. I just feel like I should mention that. So stick around past the credits if you want something else, I guess. And honestly, after watching all of these Insidious movies, it's kind of making me appreciate the ones directed by James Wan a bit more. Like, just a little bit. Like how the title appears in the film, and it has this creepy music to go along with it, and it's memorable at the very least. And so there's that going on for those first 2 movies. Even though it's not like a huge thing, it's at least something instead of nothing. And the only recurring character throughout all of these Insidious movies is Elise, played by Lynn Shay. And for those of you expecting to see her, she's in the movie for like a couple of minutes, and that's it. She doesn't really have any impact on the story. Her being there was just kind of pointless, and there just wasn't really anything in this movie that connected with me. I didn't care about what was happening. I wasn't scared by anything. The demons looked cool, but it's just the same designs from the previous movies. And so, like, there's nothing new in this movie that hasn't been already done in the previous movies. And so I have basically nothing to take away from this movie, unfortunately. So skip this movie. I don't think it's worth your time, but if you want to watch it, it's on Netflix, so it should be pretty easy to find. That's how I watched it, and I have nothing else to say about this movie. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Insidious The Red Door a 2 out of 10. It hasn't even been a week since I've seen Insidious Chapter 3, and already I can barely remember anything about that movie. And that's how well these Insidious movies stick with me. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Insidious The Red Door, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Dead Don't Die. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.